Welcome to Crazy Bob. Today we're going to change the wheels on a BMW iX and we're putting the winter wheels on. It is getting cold. So stay tuned for how to do this properly. So, some things you want to have before you get started. Quality jack that's functional and doesn't lose its hydraulics. A jack pad. BMWs have little jack points. This is important. Make sure you have the key. Make sure you have a good supporting jack in case that guy fails. A breaker bar, never loosen with the torque wrench, and a good quality torque wrench. So I'm going to explain these tools as we go. Let's get started, and I'll show you where this guy is. This guy is located in your trunk, right here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do if you have air suspension, press this guy for 7 seconds until you see this blinking. Very important, otherwise you're going to be working against your air suspension, and the air suspension is going to try to keep things level and pump up and do whatever it does. So this disables that. You will also get a warning on your screen once you know that you've disabled it. So next step is loosening the lugs and getting to work. So this is the jack pad that I was speaking of. And we're going to go ahead and slowly jack up. And we can see that I'm off. Move your jack in position to where it slides right in there just like that and is centered on your jack. Now we're ready to jack, but before we do that, we're going to loosen the lugs. So a little trick I use, I usually put a little bit of blue tape around the end of my socket, and that's to keep from scratching the inner well here. So with my ratchet in place, I would normally do this with two hands supporting the front end and going with the back, but you can see with a breaker bar, even at 140 Newton meters, you can loosen these very easily. Once you've loosened the lug nuts, you can jack up. You only need to jack up high enough to get that wheel off the ground. I do it as little as possible, that way I don't have to lift that much. And now find a suitable place underneath the car to place the safety jack stand in case the hydraulic jack right here fails. So I found a good spot along this subframe right here. So this is a good spot, and as you can see, the weight of the car is still on the hydraulic jack, not on this jack. So this is only a safety. So now we're ready to pull that wheel off. So while you're here, go ahead and clean up that caliper, get it looking nice again. And maybe apply your favorite wax or coating to it. When you look here, while the wheel is off, you'll see that there's a little bit of grease here. A slight amount of grease there is good. Don't get crazy putting grease here though, because this is the flat surface that's going to keep your wheel exactly flat. You don't want, if you have crumbs or dirt or anything here, kind of check this surface and make sure it's nice and clean. And if there's a little bit of grease there, you can leave that be. And now we're ready to put our winter wheel on. So this BMW lug nut is very unique in the sense that the cone is fitted loosely. So my assumption is this is to help center the wheel and give you a more vibration-free ride. Nonetheless, do as you do with any set of wheels. Put them all in a crisscross pattern, somewhat finger tight, and then snug them lightly, and then lower the car. So don't lower the car until they're all somewhat snug. And then we're going to go ahead and, once the car's down, we're going to go ahead and torque them to 140 Newton meters. So with your torque wrench set to 140 Newton meters, or slightly over 100 foot-pounds, we're going to go ahead and tighten the lug nuts with a crisscross pattern. I will show you what that is. So with a crisscross pattern, this is what we mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how we tighten in a crisscross pattern. It's always the next one is the one across. the one across, the one across, and the one across. So for the rear tires, a good spot would be right here, right near that bolt where the subframe is connected and is holding the motor. So always be careful where you do this. And again, I am not weight bearing. I am simply putting it there as a safety measure in case my jack fails. As with the front, go ahead and clean up your caliper, make it look nice. How much detail you want to put into this is up to you. You can see I missed a hole right there, but anyway, yeah, clean it up, make it look nice. You're here. Make sure the surfaces here are nice and clean. Make sure that there's a little bit of grease around there. And BMW apparently put some silver stuff on there, and boy, don't get that on your fingers. It'll be everywhere. So we're ready to put the rear wheel back on. And the last step, make sure to place your locking lug right there back in its spot. I don't know how many folks I've seen that put this in the glove box, put it in the middle console, forget it, leave it in the garage, and then they get stranded and can't even change a wheel. So whatever you do, make sure put that back in its spot. Don't forget to press the little ride height button if you have air suspension. Make sure to hold it for 8 seconds. The blinking light will go out, and that's when you know you're good. So as you can see, there's a few nuances when changing wheels on a BMW iX. So air suspension, make sure you turn it off. Locking lug nut in the trunk, make sure you put it back there. And other than that, pretty straightforward. Knowing where to put your safety jack, also very important. You don't want to put it in the wrong spot. Never put it under the battery, because for obvious reasons, if your jack fails, that would be catastrophic. So I hope this video helped you, and I hope you're confident to do this job on your own. Take care.